what we're looking at on this map are U.S. counties as they existed in 1850. And if we take a look at the attributes that are associated with this data, we can see that we have the county name and the state name in there. And other than that, it really doesn't give us a whole lot of information. However, if we have a table that has information about each of the counties, we can do what's called a join to join another table to this attribute table. So what we can do to join the tables is we can add the table directly to ArcMap. And the table can exist in a couple of different formats. It can be a text file, it can be a CSV file, it can be an Excel spreadsheet, it can be an Access database. So there's lots of compatibility with various file types. I'm going to add data for the United States on the county level, and I want to add the 1850 table that tells me how many acres are in farming in each U.S. County. So I add that, and notice what happened here. When I added that table, it switched to this view here called List by Source rather than List by Drawing Order. Because tables can't be drawn, it switches to this so that you can see that you have a table in your table of contents. If we take a look at this and open this, we can see that we have the county name, and we also have the number of acres in farming in each of the counties. So what we can do is, again, what's called a data join. We come up to the polygon data, the U.S. counties, we right-click on it, go to Joins and Relates, then Join, and then we would want to join attributes from a table because we're joining one table to another table. And we have to pick the field that this is going to be based on. So we have to have a common field in both tables or else we can't do a join. And one of the common fields was the county name. The field doesn't have to be called the exact same thing. Like if it's called county name in one table and another one called name, not a big issue. So we select the appropriate field, and I'm actually going to take a look just to verify which is the correct field, and it looks as though either one of these would work. So I'm going to use the NHGIS name, and if we look at our table, we can see that it's called county. So again, I'm going to right click on that, Joins and Relates, and I select the field. And I hit OK. And if I open up the attribute table, I'm going to see that that data from the table is now appended to my data layer. If you remember, it only had up until here in the previous one, so it took both of them and put it together. What this means for us is that we can then do further querying on it, or we can make maps off this data. Prior to this data join, we wouldn't have been able to make a map showing how many acres is in farmland. Now that it's joined, we can do that. However, one thing to make note of, when we do a join within an ArcMap project, that join is not a permanent thing. It only exists in this project. So if I go to add that U.S. county data to another project, it's not going to have those fields appended to it. If you want it to be a permanent thing, you have to export your data, and you just right-click on it and go to Data, Export Data, and you export it to where you want to save it. And I'm going to just call this Land in Farms 1850, and hit OK. And it will export it. And upon it finishing exporting, it's going to ask if you want to put it on a map, and you do, so hit yes. And once you've made that permanent, there's no need to have these in here anymore, so we can remove those. And now what we can do is we can make a map showing the number of acres in farmland in 1850 simply by going to our Symbology tab, Graduated Colors, and then selecting that the appropriate field. And I'm just going to format these quickly to make them look a little bit easier. And now we can see which counties in 1850 had the most land and farms. And if we're really curious, just for fun, we could open up that attribute table, go to the field that has the number of acres and farms, and sort it ascending or descending so we can see which ones have the least and which ones have the most. And should have done it the other way. But we can see that Oneonta County in New York had the most land and farms. Lancaster County was second, and then Grafton in New Hampshire was third. So just a way to enrich your data, give it more attributes so you can do more querying and map making. And as another quick aside, the data that I used for this, if you're interested in getting more, because there's a ton of really fun stuff on this website, I got it from the National Historical Geographic Information Systems website, and it has aggregate census data for the United States between 1790 and 2014. So it's a really good source for historical census data. They have lots of different categories available here.